bit of time off and some well-earned rest, relaxation, and time away from the sim, it's finally time to get back in action and take to the track. The drivers are primed, the track is green for what promises to be one of the most exciting series to grace the iRacing service. Hello everyone, and welcome to the OBS Super Cup, a heat racing style series that will see our drivers compete across the world here over the next couple of weeks. My name is DJ Clark, and I'll be with you on every step of this journey, but the first one up is going to be the Baltic Solutions Transport Super Cup Germany. That's right, we are going racing here from the Hockenheim Ring, one of the most storied tracks in all of Germany, second only really to the Nürburgring. As we take a look at some of the areas out on the track, of course, the hairpin down at the very end of that long parabolica going down into the Mercedes arena section. Watch for some great overtaking to take place there. We're used to seeing a lot of side-by-side racing, and I think we're going to be in store for that here today. But as I said before, a little bit of a different format when it comes up to the racing. It's going to be heat racing style, but before we get into that, let's head over to the track guide.
Welcome to the Hockenheim Ring in the Porsche 992 GT3 Cup, the same car that these drivers will be running in the OBS Super Cup. Down into turn one, you're trying to hit that curb, big jump over, and then using everything there is on the outside. Coming now down into turn two, you're braking right after the 150-meter board down into second gear, and this is a difficult zone for traction as the drivers struggle to put the power down, but now it's a super long straight, and this is the time to relax a little bit, but focus on the corner ahead, and as well in the race, focus on the driver behind and the driver ahead, trying to make moves and make up places in the little time that you have. Right at the 150, you're braking hard from 6th down to 1st, and very, very tight hairpin. Again, super difficult to put the traction down. If you get a little bit of wheel spin, well, you're probably going to be overtaken down this little straight here, flat out through the right-hander, and now onto the Mercedes arena here. On the brakes in the middle of that curb on the right-hand side, down into second gear. You're trying to get on power as early as possible. This is a very, very difficult and fast one. You're lifting off the throttle and then back on full power to the outside, using the curb on the outside to hold you in. And now to the right-hander, super quick, trying to get on the inside curb. You can use as much as you want on the outside, but then coming back to the right-hand side to brake for this hairpin. Super important to use the banking there on the power as early as you can. Now focusing on the final section. This is where it matters. This is where it all counts. This is so difficult, so understeery. You gotta lift and brake a little bit and then back on power, using again everything there is on the exit, and that is a lap of the Hockenheim Ring in a Porsche GT3 Cup.
Pursue your automotive passion, thrive, and make money.
And thank you for that track guide. We are ready to now rejoin the action out on track as we watch the number 17 there of Alexander Walton working his way around through some of the twistier bits of the circuit. Again, this is that Mercedes arena section that we talked about a little bit earlier. Watch for a lot of drivers there to go side by side as he then brings his way down into what is, in my opinion, one of the trickiest corners in the entire world. The Mobile 1 curve there, very tricky, very fast, and it looks like Walton may be putting down a bit of a banker lap here at this point. He's slowing down a little bit down through the Spitzkara as well, trying to get that down. But time's starting to come up onto the board right now. Marius Siepas there up to the top of the charts. Ignis behind him. Then Jamantis, Petrig, and Pierre Nuskas, your top five. Time's continuing to get set down. And again, this isn't going to be outright qualifying. Remember, this is going to be setting up for those heat races. And so you want to try to get yourself up to the top of the charts to be able to put yourself in good position for it. As we take a little bit of a side-by-side look here at drivers out on track, your current provisional pole sitter, Marius Sipis, there down on the right-hand corner of your screen as we watch Peters right now in the number 45 working his way around, crossing over the line as things go. Philip Hammer going to jump up to the top of the charts there for WS Racing Esports in the number 60, a very familiar name on the iRacing service. Philip has been a part of many, many leagues before, and so very, very good to see him out on track. As we continue to watch, though, drivers working their way through the top time, 1:42.60, and that's a pretty sizable margin for Philip Hammer to be able to hold on to here at this point. Everything else we're seeing is relatively small gaps, but 3.5 tenths of a second between him and Marius Sipis is a very, very hefty margin. Right on board with the number 60 now, coming down into that Mercedes Arena section. Beautiful clip of the curb there, just avoiding that big sausage curve down to the inside, and now he's going to bring his way back onto this little mini straight. A little bit of oversteer in the car. Remember, we are racing the Porsche 992 Cup car here today, and that crucially means no traction control and no ABS, and so that's really going to put the impetus on these drivers to make sure they stay clean and green. Harold Kitautis, though, is going to jump up into P3 right now. Kagan Spark will jump up into P10 as times continue to get put down on the board. Looks like we have about 2.5 minutes left of qualifying. Tim Bresky and now Alexander Walton, who topped the charts during qualifying, during practice rather, he is now going to find himself back up to the top of the charts right now, beating Hammer. As now Tony Rantanen is going to be up into P2, only 8 thousandths of a second off of the man on your screen, Alexander Walton. So some very close gaps up at the top of the charts right now. There is Tony in the number 48, the Finn, working that Simsa Esports machine down through the Parabolica entry and onto the Parabolica itself, the fiercest place on this circuit. A very, very long run into the heavy braking zone for that hairpin at the very end, and drivers going to have to watch out for it. As we said, no ABS in these cars, so to lean on the brakes a little bit more, you've really got to be feeling out what that car is doing to get that maximum threshold braking. Here is the number 4 of Corey Lazarus, though, as he brings his way onto it. This is your Pro-Am pole sitter, as that's right, we do have 3 classes here today, and you'll see them on your screen. The red little indicator there, that is going to be a Pro driver. Blue will be Pro-Am, and then this man, then the 245, Ignis Vigoreskis, is going to be your Am pole sitter here at this point, provisionally, obviously, but he's got a pretty good jump on the rest of the field, so that should be pretty good for him, and he doesn't have a whole lot of competition near him as well, although Joey Petrig is going to jump his way up into P10 right now as drivers continue to put times down on the board. Only about 55 seconds left to go in qualifying as the 45 cars here for today line themselves up and get ready to go for this heat racing format. Now, how are these heat races going to work? Well, it's going to be a 4-lap heat, and then that will help determine the gridding order for the LCQs, or the consolation races, so your C main, your B main, your A main, and all of that. And then your feature race, that will be a full 6 laps around this circuit. Everything else will be 4 laps, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. As now Vince Peters with a great time. He is going to come in with a 139.768. Only one of 3 drivers to be able to tickle their way down into the 139s. Vince going to be very happy with that lap put down right at the end of this session. Although it looks like here with about 5 seconds left to go, we are getting ready to bring our way on to the grid and get everything ready, as there the checkered flag does fly for qualifying. And that means it is time to grid up here for our first heat race. It will be Alexander Walton in pole position with Corey Lazarus to his outside. Then Henrikas Klepas will be in P3, followed by Lars Baumler. Then it's Tadas Karasitis in P5, followed by Misha Berger, Jordi Spetkins, and Edgaras Raskunas in P8. Aramis Sakolunas will be in P9, followed by Navikas in P10. Then it's Lucas Azelis and Kali Baggett in P12, and that will round out your 12-car grid for this heat race. Again, this is going to be a mere 4 laps around this circuit, and with the standing start, So that's going to change up a lot of, I think, these drivers' calculations, their impetus for it. You've got to try to push your way ahead as quickly as possible and get yourself into good positions. I am hearing, by the way, from Race Control that we will have a total of 4 heat races here tonight. That's right, we will have 4 heat races to get ourselves ready and to set the fields for the C main and the B main. And that will obviously transfer everybody on into that A main race. As we wait really for the top couple of drivers here to form up on the grid, particularly Alexander Walton and Corey Lazarus, your front row there. Klipkas in P3 and Baumler in P4. There is the number 17, Alexander Walton for Stimsa Esports, looking very, very strong on the front of this field. He's going to be hoping for a good getaway here as they go down into the north curve, the first corner of this track. Very similar corner for those familiar to something like Cops at Silverstone. It's a very quick corner, maybe just a little bit of brush braking to slow the car down a little bit. Not normally an overtaking opportunity, but because it's so quick, because it's so technical, we do often see drivers coming together going there on the first lap, so hopefully we'll be able to avoid that, as it only looks like here Lazarus doesn't have a whole lot of time to grid up, as indeed we've got a couple of drivers that are going to miss it. That's Lazarus and Berger. I believe those may be 2 pit lane starts here as the lights start to come up, and there goes the green, and we get going for heat race number 1. Talk about a great getaway there for Alexander Walton. He's going to have a huge lead on the rest of the field, call it 4 or 5 car lengths by the time they dive down into the north curve. Klipkas and Krasitis are going to be duking it out there for P2. Calamity behind that Spetkins. Berger, I think Baumler maybe turned around as well. The 47 definitely hitting that rear barrier, and I think we're going to try to check out a replay of exactly what happened. This is exactly what I was talking about. Spetkins looks relatively clean. Contact there with the number 7. That's Baumler. The 2 of them just trying to make it fit into one area, and so now they're going to have it all to do as they gain back up on the rest of the field. Big breakaway here, though, especially courtesy of that fight between Klipkas, Krasitis, Walton, and the rest of the field. Indeed, it's about a 2.7-second breakaway here as they continue to go. So Walton is going to try to press this advantage here a little bit. Klipkas and Krasitis trying to gain in behind. A little bit of a wide run there for Tadas in P3, and a big lock up of the brakes for the number 169 as he dives his way down into the corner. Now, important to remember here for these 2 drivers in second and third, they are both in that Pro-Am split. So it's almost like 2 different races here when it comes to scoring and points and all of that, but everybody wants to fight for absolutely every position that they have. And as we watch Krasitis now here working his way through, you can see just how much time he has lost up to Klipkas and to Walton up ahead. As we take a little bit of a look at a side-by-side here, there's that replay, the 169 just absolutely locking up those front tires, coming down into the Mercedes Arena section, as now Walton will cross over the line here to complete lap number 1. Again, remember, this is very quick racing, only 4 laps in store for these drivers, as Walton tries to set it out. As here we've got a little bit of side-by-side, the old sparring partners from lap 1, that's Spetkins and Baumler trying to be able to duke it out a little bit. Baumler trying to be able to get in behind and see what he can do. He's going to take a big look down to the inside going into the north curve. That's not going to play itself out. He's going to have to come back into line here and try this again. Maybe the benefit of the draft going down the long parabolica will help the 47 as he continues to look aggressive down to the inside there. A parabolica entry, not going to be able to make that play, and he's going to have to stay in line behind Spetkins here at this point. But now that draft really coming into play here for the driver of the number 47, Lars Baumler, trying to see if he is going to be able to get this to play. Draft tucking him in behind. Here they go. He's going to have another big look down into the braking zone there for that final corner, as then into the Spitzkara, and it looks like he's been able to get it done, but is that going to be a little bit of a fight back there for Spetkins? Here you go, a little bit of side-by-side picture in your screen as they continue to try to work their way through, and we've got another car that locked things up. I think that's Edgaris Renazaukis there in the number 129. Looks like he had a little bit of an off coming down into the Mercedes Arena section, and so that's going to send him back around. Let's give some love here to the mid-pack right now. This is Kaylee Bagnet in the number 266, and Sakalaukas there in the number 249, close behind him. And don't count out Misha Berger there, running in the third in this train right now. That is the battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. as we watch the 249 of Arimas there, trying to see what he is able to get going down through the south curve to cross over here, halfway done in this race already. That's just how fast these heats are going to fly at you, folks, as they are another little bit of a look here for the 43, trying to see if Misha Berger can have anything. He's going to try to be able to see if he can get a run here down into the Parabolica entry. I don't think, maybe I lied. He's really going to go late on the binders there and able to make it work. A good move there by Misha Berger. The question's going to be now if Sakalauskas is going to be able to fight back with the benefit of the draft. We already saw that play out for Los Bummelair here a little bit earlier on. Can the 242 try to do anything? As going defensive is Misha Berger, recognizing that attack, trying to come from behind. The 43 moving off to the inside. Maybe a little bit of aggressive move as well, as he's trying to get by Bagant there up ahead of him, but that's not going to play itself out. He's going to be forced to stay in line here, and all of this battling has allowed for a little bit to close in behind. We've got another side-by-side battle, though that's the 129 of Razanauskas there, and Azalis up ahead of him as they try to be able to fight their way through. Get a little bit of side-by-side picture here. A great direction being given to us. Oh, that's a good run there for the number 43 of Misha Berger, trying to fight back on Cali here, going too wide down through Mobile 1. Normally isn't recommended, but is he going to be able to pull it off? It looks like they're both going to be able to pull it off, and here they go. They'll stay in single file order, but just barely. Meanwhile, that other battle we were watching there continues to play itself out. A little bit of a dip of the grass there for the 266 of Baggins as they try to be able to get themselves around. Now down through the south curve is the white flag in the air for Alexander Walton up at the front of the field, but this battle back for P5 continues to be very, very intense. Here they come, trying to work their way through. A little bit of a poke to the inside there. That's Corey Lazarus in 8th position in the number 4, just trying to see if he's able to get anything. Now he's going to have a little bit of a good run here on Arimas, as now we're going to go Noah's Ark side by side down into the corner. The number 4 able to get the move done. That's going to promote Corey Lazarus up into 7th position, and with Berger and Bagant there going side by side up ahead of him, he may be able to try to steal 2 for 1. Almost a little bit of contact there between the 43 and the 266. They're going to have to sort this out at some point, or they're going to have to watch as we go 3 wide. That's Corey Lazarus looking for a move down to the inside. Not going to be able to get it as the 43 is going to stay ahead, but Lazarus is able to get the run there off of the corner. That's going to be 1 position gained over the Brit of Cali there as they now work their way down into the Mercedes Arena section. The 43 trying to hold off as much as possible. That's Berger with very, very heads-up attack here from Corey Lazarus coming from behind. Let's see if he's able to make this play as they work their way onto the mini-straight. By the way, your leader, Alexander Walton, up with about a 3.1 second advantage on the rest of the field. He's coming down through the Sachs curve right now as here they go coming around, as we're going to take a little bit of a split-screen view so we can watch the leader cross over the line, and we wait to see if Corey Lazarus has got any final tricks up his sleeve, as there comes Walton out of the final corner, and it will be Alexander Walton taking victory here in the first heat race of the night. And that will be pole for semifinal 1. That is the way that will work out as we continue to watch Lazarus trying to get onto the back. Oh, a little bit of a slide there in the back. I believe that's Sakalaukas who has been able to hold onto the position. Is he going to be able to hold onto the spot? Yes, he is. Good run there for them. Lazarus will have to settle for P6. Misha Berger in P5. And that will conclude our first heat race of the night. That is just how fast and furious these races fly at you here, folks. As that means, as we said, that will be Walton on pole for semi-final number 1. Walton, Klipkas, as they go down all through of those and continue to... All right, and for this second heat race, it's going to be more of the same. An 11-car field out on the track, and it's going to be Rantanen lining up in pole position, followed by Samuel Sproul, then Harold Jatautis, Benjamin DePepe, Justin Lamelli, Kagan Spark, Justice Pernurkas, Thorsten Seifert, Xander Van Heerwen, and Nicholas Jazworski. As the lights begin to come on and we get ready to go, as there go the lights, and here comes the green. We're racing once again, and there, it looks like a good start for Tony Ronan up at the front of the field right now. The 56 of Jatautis going to have to fall back into line to Pepe, holding into third place. Cars off in the back. That's Vermillion and Seifert looking like they came together, and some pretty hefty damage there for Sander Vermillion. And looks like he's going to be off into the tire barriers, but at least we've got a little bit of a closer start up at the front of the field. And unless my eyes deceive me, a little bit farther back, I think that's Lamelli getting a little bit of a bump draft from Piernuskis as they came out of the Parabolica entry. But now it looks like Piernuskis is tired of waiting around. The 102 going to send a look up to the inside, going down into the Spitzkara as they're later on the brakes. Little bit of contact, and the 102 is going to drift wide. That's going to cost him at least one position as there's a big coming together, and that's the 172 turned around. That's Justin Lamelli. My goodness, everything firing off, going down into the hairpin at the end of the lap. A little bit more side by side here on your screen. That's going to be the 102 of Piernuskis, and I think Samuel Sproul trying to be able to get his way back on through. Remember, that was one of our pit lane starters here. We do have a couple of drivers that will be starting from pit lane, courtesy of some infractions picked up before the race. Justin Lamelli, that car that you saw spun around in the hairpin itself. So we take a look back up to the front of the field. Tony Ronan going to be up at the front. We're going to bring you back and do a replay here of what happened going into that first corner. This is Sander Vermillion in the 291. Let's see if we can see what happened. Oh, just two cars trying to go for the same bit of real estate there, and that was the 176 of Thorsten Seifert getting it to side with him. Justin Lamelli here. This is the incident that we saw. A little bit of contact there, and it looks like that car wanted to start rotating a little bit more, had to get it under control, and then that blue machine, I believe that was Justus Piernuskis, that may have made contact with him that caused Lamelli to spin around as he did. But all of that is no concern to this man, Tony Ronan, up at the front of the field right now, starting to grow a little bit of a gap over Harold Jatautis as the gap extends to 1.1 seconds. A little bit farther back in the field. Good battle here. Sander Van Herwen under a little bit of pressure from the 952 of Kagan Spark. And remember, as we look at this right now, you can see that red is the pro category, blue is the pro-am, gold is am. As we continue to watch, no attacks here coming down into the Spitzkara as the 952 of Kagan Spark tries to be able to put a little bit of running here on the back of Van Herwen. To see if he's going to be able to get anything to play going down to the Mercedes Arena section. Going to bring the cars on through that snake that comes through. There's such a tricky area to get right as you've really got to bring the car all the way over to the right after taking that high load through the halfway through the corner. As now they come onto a little bit of straightaway that leads into the Mobil 1 curve. Doesn't look like the 952 is really going to be able to get that to play. Kagan having to hold in line. Here is Samuel Sproul trying to see what he is able to get on the back of the 215 of Jazowski, and not really able to get anything there. Oh, but that's going to be a wide one for Jazowski, just getting it wrong going through the Sachs curve, and it looks like that's going to cost the 215 a position, and he will find himself back down into 8th place here at this point. Let's watch. This is really just good heads up there from Sproul. He put enough pressure onto the back of Jazowski that he just missed that turn-in point, and with the way that that corner is banked, the camera on that curve is very, very difficult to gather it up back under him once you make that little bit of a mistake. But right now, we check back in on the battle for P4. Sander Van Herwen, Kagan Spark, and Justin Piernuskis fighting their way up into those positions. Looks like here that Kagan Spark able to get a pretty good run on the back of the number 99. The gap coming down at about 0.2 of a second here at this point as they work their way down into the Parabolica. Whoa, lots of big movement, lots of big defense getting thrown there. The 99 trying to be able to get the run here on Kagan Spark, but Spark going to send it around the outside. A little bit of a wiggle as they come off of the line. Looks like they're able to keep everything together and point it the right way. The 102 here of Justin Piernuskis just holding back in the popcorn position, waiting for everything to play as these two continue to go side by side, and it looks like there the 952 is going to be able to hold on. That's Kagan Spark able to get that position, and Piernuskis says, thank you very much, I'd like to go for that as well, trying to get a run here on Sander Van Herwen, and that doesn't quite look like it's going to play out there for this, the 606 of Samuel Sproul, who's also trying to get involved in that conversation. I think Van Herwen may have had a little bit of an off coming down through Mobile 1, but he's going to be able to keep things together as he continues to fall down through the order. Sander Van Herwen just having a terrible, terrible lap here. This is the number 99. Too much speed. Just too much speed coming through the Mobile 1 curve, and that was enough to throw him out to the outside, and that'll demote Sander Van Herwen all the way back into 8th place. As we take a look right now at the 102 of Justus Piernauskas, continuing to try to see what he's able to do. White flag is in the air, and we've got a little bit of a battle for P2 right now, as this is Harold Jatautis and Benjamin DePepe trying to be able to see what they are able to do. Only about 0.5 of a second the gap in between the two of them as they work their way onto the long, long Parabolica. The draft here coming into a play for the 137, under 0.5 of a second as they work their way down into the braking zone for the Spitzkara. Let's see if we're going to see a little bit of a poke out here for the 137. No, but we are going to see a little bit of a move. That was Jatautis leaving the door open for DePepe, and DePepe just tried to send it on into the corner, but not enough room at the end, unfortunately, and that could scupper his chances here on the back half of this lap to be able to get anything done. Jatautis just trying to hold on here at this point, trying to hold on to that P2 in the race. Tony Raunen up at the front right now by about 3 seconds, looking pretty up there as he brings his way down through the Mobile 1 curve. This is the white flag lap here for heat race number 2, so not a lot of time left here for these drivers as he now brings his way through the Sachs curve, using that banking to absolute perfection to bring his way around, trying to see what he's going to be able to get done here as we watch the number 48 in absolute perfection mode, bringing the car down through the south curve and on to the start-finish straightaway, taking every inch, and that will be victory here for Tony Raunen, and able to take it away right now. Harold Jatautis will come home in P2, followed by Benjamin DePepe. Then it looks like Kagan Spark, Justus Piernauskas, Samuel Sproul, Nicholas Jazowski, Thorsten Seifert, Xander Van Herwen. A very tough race there for Xander, and then Sander Vermillion and Justin Lamelli going to be the last drivers to cross over the line. Here's the 172 of Lamelli. Remember, we saw him pointed the wrong way around on that opening lap, going down into the Spitzkara, and that is exactly what happened there to Lamelli. So another heat race done and dusted. Halfway through our heat racing here at this point, there is your final finishing order, as that will be that. There you see Raunen, Jatautis, and DePepe up in the top 3. A great Pro-Am win there for Benjamin DePepe. He certainly looked like he could have been challenging Jatautis, and Jazorski doing a good job as well to be able to move his way up through the order and hold on to that AM class victory as well. But it's now ready for us to get going here in heat race number 3. And it's going to be Vince Peters lining up in pole position. Marius Sipas to his outside. Then it's Nicholas Maynard, followed by Joey Petrig, Ignis, Vincercanis there, and then Arturas Kundelis, Rikin Klapis, Bonavicius, Urbanus, and Javaskas is there. Goes the green. Terrible getaway there for the 171 of Nicholas Maynard. A lot of wheel spin, and that's going to create a lot of calamity back through the field. Oh my goodness. Is now it looks like Marius Sipas is going to run a little bit wide. Have we been able to avoid any of the big comings together that we've seen on the last couple of runs here? Yes, we have, but we've got a 3-wide battle coming down into the Parabolica entry. They're going to sort themselves out a little bit. That is the 97 of Joey Petrik, Arturas Kondalis, and Vince Raviskis trying to be able to fight their way out for that position. They've got a little bit of a buffer back to Mantis Barica as they're going to be able to hold on to that, but look at this. That's the 41 of Kundelis trying to streak away here a little bit. Petrig trying to fight back on him. They're going to be side by side as they come down and almost 4 wide behind them as they dive down into the corner. Things getting a little bit spicy here, and we've got a car turned around. That's Joey Petrig facing the wrong way down through the Spitzkara. He's going to be able to get that car re-turned around and back under it, but not without losing at least 4 positions from his starting spot at the beginning of the race. A little bit more side by side here, farther back down in the field. That is Jessica Levicius and Maynard trying to fight it out a little bit. Nicholas, remember, had that very, very scruffy start. More contact there a little bit farther back in the field. Let's take a look at this replay here from Joey Petrig, the Swiss driver, trying to come down into the corner. Looks there on the 41. There definitely was contact there between himself and Kundelis, but I'm going to let race control decide exactly how they saw that happening, as I'm not entirely sure from that angle. Here's a little bit more of the run. That's that 4 wide I was hooting and hollering about a little bit earlier, and 3 wide down to the Spitzkehrer, having to scatter themselves out. The 171 there of Maynard really having to get on the binders and get out of the way. The American trying to see what he's able to do, and he's going to lose the rear end coming out of the south curve. Somehow, miraculously, we've got cars that avoided, but I think we've got a car hard on into the barrier. That's Eduardo's Klipkas, who just got it wrong and had to take avoiding maneuvers. Let's watch this. Runs the car out wide, touches that grass, tries to come back onto the circuit, and just spears across the track. And talk about some good luck there for those drivers. Klipkas with some very, very hefty damage that he is going to have to deal with here at this point. The 127, my goodness gracious. Instead, we take a look at the provisional grid for that semifinal one, as that is decided. These third and fourth heat races, these are really for the second semifinal that we will see out there today, as the 45 of Vince Peters works his way around. Now, he is up in the lead of the race. We've got a little bit of an error there with our typing and scoring screen, as Klipkas is not in the lead of the race. But Joey Petrick there, you remember we saw him have a little bit of problems on the opening lap. He's got everything wrapped up back underneath him here at this point, but he's been very aggressive with the curbing there on the exit of the Mercedes Arena section, as Petrick tries to close down on Barico right now. This the battle for P5 as they come down into the Sachs curve right now, bringing those cars around. Wide run there for Barica. That's not what he wanted to do in that 111 machine, as we're going to go back and check out a little bit of side-by-side here, as that looks like it is the replay. This is that heavy damage that we saw Klipkas see, and you just see him there, absolutely nowhere to turn the car, nowhere to get the car to go, in a very unfortunate run there for him. As we cross over and start on lap number 3, it looks like Joey Petrick really putting pressure to the back here of Mantas Barica, as now Barica is going to have to take it a very defensive line into the parabolic entry, the 111. That could compromise him a little bit, and Petrick certainly knows it. Petrick sweeps around the outside on the parabolic entry, and he's going to power that number 97 machine down the long, long straightaway here that leads down into the Spitzkehrer. A good run there for Petrick. As there we see them trying to work their way around, and there our live timing and scoring has gotten itself updated and gotten itself fixed, so we continue to watch right now, waiting to see if we're going to see any more firing off. Vince Peters, the Belgian, up at the front of the field for Visceral Esports, doing an absolutely fantastic job, nearly a 2-second gap over Marius Cepas. And let's keep in mind, that is Marius Cepas we are talking about. Absolutely no slouch when it comes to racing. Oh, as Peters gets it wrong, coming out of the Mercedes Arena section, somehow made a little bit of a mistake there, and that now allows for Marius Cepas to be able to get his way around. And my goodness, the commentator's curse is strong with me here today. Let's take a look at this big kick of oversteer on the exit of the corner, and that just, he had to catch the car a little bit, bring it back up underneath him. That got him out onto those sausage curbs at the exit of the corner. Thankfully able to gather the car back up underneath him without having too much problems, but he's still going to lose a position in the running, and that's now going to set up a final lap battle between Marius Cepas and Vince Peters, as both try to push as hard as humanly possible to take victory here in heat race number 3. Cepas just trying to see what he is able to do, see if he can hold off the attack here from Vince Peters as they work their way through the Parabolica entry. The gap's going to be about 0.4 of a second, call it 4.5 of a second, as they come out of the Parabolica entry and on to the very, very long run here, trying to see what Peters will be able to do. Takes a little bit of a half-hearted look down to the inside, trying to see if that's going to be the way to play, but it certainly is not. The gap's going to come down to about 0.4 of a second flat as they come out of the Spitzkehrer. Now, looks like here Cepas just has to keep things together through this Mercedes Arena section, As we take a little bit of a look there, you have TV cameras and looking out the back of Cepis's number 1 machine down through the Mercedes Arena section, giving these fans an absolute treat here as they see everybody fly their way around. The gap coming down under 0.4 of a second, but place and time running out for Vince Peters. Not sure if he's going to be able to get that run that he wants. Takes a very aggressive line down through the Mobile 1 curve. You can't really get a pass here without a mistake going down through the Sachs curve, and it indeed looks like Marius Cepis isn't going to be making that mistake as they now work their way through this little bit of a fiddly bits before they line themselves up for the south curve. Again, a little bit later on the binders is Cepis. I think one more lap and Cepis could have gotten this, but for the moment it is going to be Marius Cepis ahead of Vince Peters to take victory here in heat race number 2. A brilliant, calm, cool, and collected drive from Marius Cepis. Vince Peters making that mistake that sent him off and lost him the lead of this race. Kundalis will come home third, followed by Vince Raviscus in P4, Joey Petrig, Barika, Urbanus, Jazaviscus there in P8, Maynard, Bagnavicius, and then Klipkas will round out your 11-car grid here for the third heat race of the night. And it really goes to show you, you cannot, even though these races are only 4 laps in length, you cannot wait around. You have got to stay on your game the entire way through. Just ask Vince Peters, who made that little infinitesimal mistake, and that was enough to cost him the win of this race. But now we get ready for heat race number 4, the final heat race of the night, as we take a look there at your heat 3 results. In this heat race, though, in heat race number 4, the big name to be watching out for, Philip Hammer. And then it's going to be Tim Bresky starting to the outside with him, Rizika and Jamantis, JQGB, and then it is going to be, as we work our way down through the field, Zelinskas, Vilius, Paralowskis, Bagnoas, Raskas, and DeBello there rounding out the rest of the grid. As lights come up here and all eyes go on to Philip Hammer. 3 lights come on as there go the lights, and we get racing here for the final heat race from Hockenheim. It's a decent start there for Philip Hammer. A little bit of a question from behind, as that's going to be Rizika trying to be able to get a little bit of a run there on Bresky. Bresky going to hold him off for now, but a better run through turn 1. Car spun around in the back. That's Raskus, I believe, and Jakey both spun around, and they're going to have a little bit of problems, but look at Tim Bresky having to go very, very defensive onto the back of Rizika, trying to hold that out, and that's going to open up a little bit of an opportunity here for Jamantis to be able to try to get the run. The 71 looking very, very good behind the 63 here at this point. Arigius trying to see what he's able to do, getting that double draft off of Bresky and Rizika up ahead of him. They're going to fan out, go 3 wide pretty much down into the Spitzkara. Bresky locks it up, makes contact with Philip Hammer. Hammer spun around. Rizika going to be up at the front of the field. Jamantis, Bresky, Vilius, you're now top 4, as a little bit of an errant run there is absolutely enough to send your pole sitter farther back down in the order. Let's take a look at this replay. If you are Philip Hammer, you have got to feel so bad, as that was the number 13 of Bresky just locking up those front tires and skittering across the asphalt right into the side of your former pole sitter, Philip Hammer. But we check back at the front portion of the field here. This is Vakaris Vilius right now, trying to hold off Zelinskas right now. This is for P3. A little bit of tight running through the Sachs curve right up ahead of them. Jamantis and Rizika going at it as well, as they are side by side through the last couple of corners. The 71 trying to hold off a pretty stout attack here from Rizika on this opening lap. I think they all know just how important it is to try to get their way forward and get good positions. As we jump back to take a look at a replay here, oh, that was some pretty big ghost contact, unfortunately, farther back down in the order. I believe that is the one of the drivers there that just, the 172 having a terrible day, and that's going to flip them onto their lid. Excuse me, that's the 112, and that is going to be day done and dusted for that 112. We check back in at the front of the field, and I've got to give some credit here to Jumentis. He's starting to pull away a little bit. Ruzicka put all of that pressure to him on the opening of the run, and it just didn't look like it's coming back to play here. A little bit of a closer battle, though, right now. This is DeBello and Tim Bresky. Remember, Bresky has the speed, but look at that lunge from DeBello trying to go down into the Spitzkara, locks up the tires, gets it wrong, and that's going to spit him back out, and now Bagnois is going to be the one who's trying to take advantage of him here. Contact there between the 269 and the 202. They're going to be banging doors down into the Mercedes Arena section, as they are now going to be able to hold it together, and the 269 of Bagnois is going to be able to hold on to that position. A very rough run for Brian DeBello over the past couple of laps. There is your former pole sitter, though, Philip Hammer. He's going to be trying to stretch away here. Right now, he's got about 4.3 seconds to make up to Zelinskis. I don't think he's going to be able to do that in the heat, but we know the speed that number 60 machine has. As we continue to watch the 123 of Villius right now, trying to see what he is able to do. The 123 has them, and Jumentis up 3 positions here at this point. Villius up 4 positions here, biggest mover in the race, and Zelinskis behind him up 2 positions. So a lot of drivers taking advantage of others' misfortune here in the early running of this heat race. Again, we are not done. This will set the order for the C main and the B main, which will both be 4 laps apiece, and then that will set everything up for the final race here tonight. So that'll be some good running. You'll want to stick around for that, and the final race here tonight will be 6 laps around this Hockenheim circuit. As we check back in on the leaders, though, Jumentis holding out over Ruzicka right now, going down into the Spitzkara. Not looking like we're seeing any big battles there necessary, but Zelinskis also putting pressure to the back of Villius there behind them. So the top 4 really only separated by about 2.5 seconds. Little bit of an awkward line there for Ruzicka coming down into the entry of the Mercedes Arena section. I think he was just trying to carry as much speed as possible, and as I really wouldn't put that too far past him to do just that, as trying to see what they are able to get. A little bit of movement there behind from Villius, as it looked like he was trying to be a little bit defensive on Zelinskis, just trying to hold that out a little bit. But Jumentis right now holds on to the lead of the race, as he'll be racing to the white flag here. 0.7 of a second. Simsa Esports machine on to the start-finish straightaway. There you can see Barney the flagman waving the signal for 1 lap to go here from Hockenheim for our final heat race of the night. That is going to be Jumentis bringing the car around. Nice and easy there. The gap has come down a little bit. Ruzicka able to get a better run through the north curve, getting the gap under 0.5 of a second by the time they jump onto the binders to get down into turn number 1. But Ruzicka right now holding on. A 1.5 second gap between himself and Villius behind him. It's Jumentis, Ruzicka doing everything they can. Here they go, as it looks like that 0.4 of a second gap. Ruzicka going to take a little bit of a look down to the inside. I don't think that was a full-hearted look, just trying to put some pressure to the back of Jumentis here. Jumentis holding on as much as possible. He still has about a 0.3 of a second advantage over Ruzicka as they come down into the Mercedes Arena section. I don't think Christian's quite going to be close enough here to necessarily fire off a move. He's going to look down to the inside before he gets onto the binders, and that car pitching forward as he does so, as we're going to take a look here out the back of Jumentis' car, as well as that TV camera as they come onto the little mini straight before the Mobile 1 curve. Are we going to see a move down into the Sachs curve? It doesn't look like Ruzicka's quite close enough. A little bit of a mistake there from Jumentis, running a little bit wide on the exit of the corner, but he's able to keep the car up underneath him and keep himself going that way, as now they bring their way out of the Sachs curve. Coming down through the last couple of corners here with only 2 more corners to go for this man, Regis Jumentis, trying to see what he is able to get. Going to get on the loud pedal coming out of the south curve, and that will be a victory here for Jumentis in the final heat race. Ruzicka is going to have to settle for second. Villius and Zelinskis will be in P4. Philip Hammer setting the fastest lap of the race last time around. Got to give him some good credit there for a good recovery. He's going to be one to watch out for in that second semi-final event, as it does look like here we just wait for the last couple of drivers drivers to cross over the line. DeBello and Pargalescas, they're the last couple to come over as they've got a few minutes behind, a few seconds rather, behind everybody else before they are able to finish on their lap. As there we get some scenic shots of the beautiful Hockenheim ring, and we are able to bring you that final finishing order for heat race number 4. There you can see it on your screen. And again, this will be the setup that all drivers will be advancing on. It's not like American dirt racing where you're going to have drivers going home a little bit early. But I think the big story to watch out for, Philip Hammer, who will start down in the field. As they go, but we are ready here to get back and ready to go racing here for the first semifinal event. Lining up in pole position, it will be Alexander Walton, Marius Cepas, Klipkas, and Peters, who we're seeing a disconnect actually here from Peters, so he may not be in, but that is no mind because the lights are on and 5 lights come on, and just as quickly they go out, and we are racing here from Hockenheim. Looks like a good getaway there from Walton. Cepas immediately moves over to cover off Klipkas as they come down into the first curve. Plenty of drivers trying to sort their way around. That's the 22 spun around. That's Naviscus, who's going to have a little bit of problem. He gets the car ready to pull back up under him. A little bit of side-by-side farther back down to the field. I think that's Klipkas trying to be able to see what he is able to do, as it looks like it's going to be a battle up at the front of the field here. 3 wide between Kundalis, Karisis, and Klipkas as they try to sort themselves out and finally get single file order. That's another car. That's Misha Berger that had a bunch of wheel spin coming off the line. As there we see Lars Baumler. Remember, he found himself a little bit farther down in the order in that heat race. He's going to have a little bit of work to do here at this point to try to fight his way back forward. The 122, though, of Klipkas being very, very aggressive coming up through the Spitzkehre. A little bit of door banging there between Kundalis and Krositis as they try to be able to sort themselves out. Look at this absolute traffic jam. Farther back down in the field, though, Bagmanovicius right in the middle of it. It looks like in that number 240, as we've got a little bit of smoke up in front. I don't think. No, that's Joey Petrick. Joey Petrick has had a little bit of a problem. He is going to find himself facing the wrong way and forced down through the order, but that is of no mind here to Alexander Walton in the number 17, who has now grown about a second gap on the rest of his competitors, as there is Sakalauskas working his way through the incident that we saw, trying to be able to just get on through. Again, that was Joey Petrick that we saw pointed the wrong way around, unfortunately. As we take a look at the replay here, this is going down into the Sachs curve. Big lock up there for the red machine. Tries to get it stopped in time before they go into that Mercedes Arena section, and that was the contact that forced Petrick to be facing the wrong way. Petrick just locking it up a little bit and sort of not having a whole lot of room to maneuver. And once again, though, no concern here to Alexander Walton, who continues to lead as he has done from pole position. Want to give a little bit of a shout out here, though, to Nicholas Maynard, currently running in 8th place. He is your big mover of the race, up 10 positions in the number 171. So that is a heck of a run there for the American of Nicholas Maynard. But right now at the front of the field, it continues to be the teammates of Walton and Cepas, just bringing their way around through the Spitzkehre, a normal Sunday drive. Behind them, a little bit of a closer battle with Kundalis holding off on Krasitis there, and Vince Raviscus holding on to a P5 right now as they bring their way into the Mercedes Arena section. Again, working on lap 2 of 4. These semifinal events will be 4 laps, and then that'll lead us into a 6-lap feature event here tonight. Looks like there's been a problem for Kalle Bagnet as he's going to be falling down through the order. Barica also looked like he was a little bit off track there, but here's Misha Berger. This is the battle for P10 right now. Lars Baumler right up ahead of him as he tries to hold in on the back. The number 43 putting a little bit of pressure here. And the 43 also has pressure from Corey Lazarus behind them, so he's got to be a little bit careful. A little bit of a brake lock up there, though, from Barica. That'll be good news for Nicholas Maynard. Klipkas and Barica both having a little bit of an off as they work their way down through the corners right now, just trying to keep everything calm, cool, and collected. You want to try to push yourself up as high as possible as Walton sets a fastest lap of the race, and this battle continues to be very, very close here as we watch coming down through the north curve. That's the 43 victory, taking absolutely every inch of track that he can. Are we going to see a little bit of a look here into parabolic entry, the 43 on the 47? Misha Berger down to the inside of Lars Baumler, and Baumler with a little bit of damage there on the left-hand side of that car. I wonder if that's going to be slowing the car down a little bit as we watch them. The 169 up ahead, this is Tadas Karasitas in a little bit of a fight here with Vince Graviscus, and that's going to be a little bit of a defensive line down into the corner, and that's going to play itself out well for Karasitas as that will keep on to P4 for the 169 machine at the moment. What does this 245 have in store? Your AM leader very much out of position of what you would actually expect him to be in, but in a very, very good position. A little bit farther back down in the field, that's Nicholas Maynard making a move on Amentas Barica, or at least trying to. That is Maynard in the 171, the white and gold machine, the black machine of Barica trying to hold out as much as possible. Oh, careful side-by-side going down through Mobile 1. Somehow they are able to keep it together and keep it pointed the right way, but don't look now. Corey Lazarus now able to be in the back of this battle as well in the number 4 machine as Maynard tries to continue his stomp up through the rest of the field. Remember, he is up 10 positions as the white flag flies for Alexander Walton with a gap of 1.2 up at the front of the field. And this close battle right now, though, continues to try to play itself out. Here's another little bit of a close one. Lars Baumler and Jordy Spetkins trying to fight it out just a little bit. This is going to be the battle for P11 out on track. Spetkins trying to see if he can get a little bit of a run going down to the parabolic entry. Baumler going to cover off the inside in that number 47 machine, so that's going to be no dice there for the number 7 of Jordy Spetkins, but he's going to look for a little bit of a crossover here, maybe try to carry some good momentum out of the parabolic entry and onto the parabolic itself. Pokes his nose to what will be the inside, just trying to get that little bit of overspeed in the number 7 machine. Is he going to be able to make this work? We've seen so many drivers lock up going down into the Spitzkara. Can Jordy be another one? And speaking of that, Vince Raviscus having a bit of a problem up in front. He's off into the grass and rejoins in front as there it looks like that is going to be Spetkins able to get by Baumler, but Baumler not giving up without a fight, trying to look down to the inside. The 127 of Klipkis trying to see if he's able to get anything as well. Barica able to get by right now as, we've got more contact in front. That's Nicholas Maynard and Vince Raviscus around, and they are going to be in trouble. What a terrible lap there for Ignis Vince Raviscus, as that is certainly going to be the nail in the coffin of what was a very, very rough race for them. But Jordy Spetkins is not done yet. He's still got battles coming up from behind as Lars Baumler tries to close in on the back, going down through the Sachs curve here at this point. But your leader, Alexander Walton, will cross over the start-finish line to take victory in the C main. Cepas, his teammate, will come home in P2. Then it'll be Kundalis and Klipkis in P3 and 4 respectively, and Krasaitis there in P5 will round out your top 5 as, wow, that was a very, very eventful race, and I can only imagine that we have got more in store as we get ready to re-rack, restack, and go back for yet another consolation race. The B main here, another 4-lap affair that will set the grid ostensibly for the outside lane of your feature race here today. As they bring their way around and the cars finish running right now. Looks like we're just waiting for Vince Peters to bring his way back through before we're able to regrid here for the B main. But some fantastic racing out on track, and massive, massive thanks to OBS as well as all the partners here today who make this racing possible. As there, Vince Peters crosses over the line. He obviously had a pretty rough run out there. As we now get ready for the 23 car race here that will be the final heat race of the night, as it were, as there's your C main results. Walton taking victory over Cepas, Kundalis, Krasaitis, and Lazarus, your top 5. Corey Lazarus with a great run on that lap. Watch out for that name. He is going to be one to most certainly watch out for. But right now, Raunen and Jamantis going to be making a pole position here in the front row. Then it's going to be Jatautis, Ruzicka, DePepe, Vilius, Spark, Zelinskis, Peranauskis, and Philip Hammer rounding out your top 10. Again, Hammer going to be one of those drivers to watch out for. We know the outright speed that Philip has, but that little bit of a bowling ball incident that he had in the first race certainly going to put him down in the order a little bit more. But as the lights come on, 5 lights go on, and 5 lights go out, and we are racing for the final semifinal here from the Hockenheim Ring. Talk about a perfect getaway there for Tony at the front of the field. A little bit of 2-3 wide, farther back down in the order. Jamantis trying to fight it out just a little bit more, as it looks like the first couple of rows are through cleanly, but unfortunately, Justin Lamelli and Rukowskis looking like they've had problems. Van Herwin, I think, hard into the walls there around the outside, as there is once again calamity going down through turn 1, catching almost everybody out from this mix. Tony Raunen holding on here at this point to the lead as we jump back to check out a little bit of a replay of what was a very, very chaotic start. And it looks like that was one of the drivers hard into the barriers. I think that may have been Bignonis there that got into it there off of the green. And oh my goodness, we've had another driver spinning off to the outside. Could that have been Philip Hammer potentially? I'm not entirely sure. I just glanced up. It is Philip Hammer spun around. There's more calamity going down into the Spitzkehre. Everybody getting themselves sent around. But it looks like there, the Ruzicka going to run a little bit wide. Take a look at this, folks. This is the replay there on the top left. It looked like somebody tried to make a little bit of a big move on the number 60 of Philip Hammer, and that just didn't work itself out as he tries to gather everything back up under him and keep himself back going. Well, once again, is a little bit of a theme that we've seen here over the course of the races is Raunen up at the front of the field right now, running away with this. A 1.7 second gap for the Finnish driver. A little bit of a closer battle, though, back for P2. Christian Ruzicka and Harold Jatautis certainly running pretty close here at this point as they continue to run right now. Looks like Jatautis going to have a little bit of a look going down into the inside here of Ruzicka, and that's going to be a late braking maneuver down into the north curve for Harold Jatautis. Jatautis able to get it done, but Ruzicka trying to fight back here a little bit at this point. Benjamin DePepe just holding in behind, trying to figure out which lane he wants to fly on. A little bit more movement there behind, and that's going to be the 63 of Ruzicka caught out. Great move there by Benjamin DePepe to be able to hold that out, recognizing a little bit of a folly there for Ruzicka, and now it looks like DePepe is not content with merely P3. He wants to run at Harold Jatautis, and a chance here at P2 in this semifinal. That's going to be him to the outside. He is really going to have to roll the speed around the outside of that relatively flat hairpin, and it looks like there the Ruzicka may be able to be the one to take advantage. No, Ruzicka's going to fall back in the line here at this point as they now work their way through the Mercedes Arena section, trying to see if anything is going to go. The 63 again poking his nose down into the inside, trying to see what he's able to get. Not going to be able to get that to play, going down through Mercedes as this run here for the final podium positions in the semifinal continues to run very, very close on the little bit of straightaway here leading down into the Mobil 1 curve. As there we watch the number 71, Jamantis, holding on to the back of this train. He does have to watch out a little bit of Vicaris Vilius, a little bit farther down in the order. We're going to take a look at a replay here. Oh, 2 cars spinning in sympathy. That's the 291 I see in the background for sure. That just goes to show you, excuse me, the 251, that was Kagan Spark that looked like he had a little bit of a problem. As that just goes to show you, every single lap around here can be to your detriment if you are not careful. Raunen, by the way, Raunen up at the top of the field, setting the fastest lap of the race and extending that gap to 3.5 seconds as the 63 here of Ruzicka trying to take a little bit of a defensive, offensive line maybe, going down into the Parabolica entry, trying to see if he's able to get a move on Benjamin DePepe, as well as trying to get a little bit of a defensive play on the back of Jamantis as they now work their way onto the Parabolica itself. The big draft coming into play. DePepe may be thinking about a little bit of a run here, as is the 71 of Jamantis. They're both going to go side by side as we go Noah's Ark. Beautiful crossover for the 56. A little bit of bumping and banging and bumping there, though, for Jamantis and DePepe, as that was DePepe holding off on that line, but Jamantis with an absolutely incredible run to bring things Mercedes down into the Spitzkehrer. Now we come into the Mercedes Arena section, the 56 down to the inside of Jatautis, trying to hold off as much as possible. All three cars make contact. They're off to the outside. The 71 of Jatautis is going to be able to find line to come in behind DePepe, but that is going to be a massive, massive bit of problem for the rest of the drivers. My goodness, as we here working on the penultimate lap, see everybody fire off. Let's go back and take a look at the replay. And this, I think, was just a simple matter of too many cars trying to go for the same position. Looks like carried a little bit more, too much speed going down into the corner than they naturally wanted to. And that was going to be enough to send them around. Jamantis, lucky to be able to hold on to P3, as was Benjamin DePepe. There is Ruzicka, the car that really kind of spearheaded that whole incident. And now he finds himself battling here at this point with Harold Jatautis in that number 56 directly up ahead of him as they work their way out of the south curb and take on the final lap here in the semifinal event. As drivers now trying to see what they are able to get. We continue to watch the 63 poking his nose to the inside, going down into the parabolic entry. That's going to be Ruzicka, able to get the move on Jatautis. Jatautis, though, able to outbrake the driver trying to challenge him, and he'll have the advantage now, working their way down. Here we've got another little bit of a battle. This is Villius and I believe Bresky going side by side as DePepe and Jamantis thinking about doing the same thing right up in front of them as Villius there trying to see what he is able to do. Going to be able to get the move done on Bresky, but Zelinskis behind him certainly looks like he could be close enough to try to make a little bit of a challenge as well as we work on the back half of this final lap of the semifinal. Trying to see if anybody's going to be able to fire off a move here that will look good. It doesn't look like we've got any opportunity here at this point, but as they work their way onto the little mini straightaway, we take a look at some side-by-side action. There is your leader, Tony Raunen, up at the front of the field, not without a single care in his mind, as he looks like he is about ready to pilot that number 48 to what is assuredly going to be victory here in the final semifinal of the night, bringing his on through, way through the penultimate corner, onto the south curve right now, brings it onto the main straightaway, and he will take victory in semifinal number 2. That is Tony Raunen. A great victory there. We've got a little bit of side-by-side farther back in the field. That's going to be Bresky and Zelinskis, who both get into the side of each other. They're going to spin out. Coming out of the final corner, more contact. Car spinning around, and it looks like Bresky trying to just get that car pointed the right way. We've got a car completely upside down. Chaos at the finish line as drivers just try to limp their way on home here at this point. My goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. Philip Hammer, by the way, somebody that we definitely cited there is somebody who wanted to have a good race, only good enough for 14th, unfortunately. As it was Raunen, DePepe, Jamantis, Zelinskis, Jatautis, Razanauskas, Villius, Sproul, and Jakey that are going to be your top 9. Ruzicka only good enough for P10 following that little bit of an incident that they had earlier on. But folks, that means with the final heat race done and dusted, our final semifinal done and dusted, it is time for the feature event here today from Hockenheim for the Baltic Solutions Transport Super Cup Germany. And it is going to be a good one. 41 cars out on this circuit for a whiz-bang of 6 laps here. This is going to be very, very fast and furious as we basically just wait here, I think, for Thorfinn Seifert to cross over the line. The last driver here listed as running in the final non-final race of the night, and there indeed Seifert crosses over the line, and we get ready to grid up for the heat race, for the final. There you can see Walton, Raunen, Sipis, DePepe, Kundelis, Jomentis, Krazitis, Zelinskis, Lazarus, and Jatautis. Your top 10 here tonight, and those are going to be the 10 to watch on. We have seen just how much calamity can really befall these drivers over the course of a single lap around here at Hockenheim. Let's also not count out the fact that we have got 44 cars out on this grid, and that means that it's just raising the stakes here across the board. One little itty-bitty bobble on this opening lap could spell disaster for untold numbers of cars as they get ready to go. But we will have to see right now what they are able to do as we wait for the last couple of drivers here. I think we're waiting for Tim Bresky to get onto the grid. He looks like the only one not to grid up, as Bresky may not be actually starting here as the lights do start to come on here from Hockenheim. 5 lights are on as there goes the green, and we are racing for the final time here in Hockenheim. Good getaway for Alexander Walton, as it does look like Marius Cepas and DePepe trying to sort themselves out behind. It's going to be a long run around the outside for Kundelis and Krazitis as they try to sort themselves out here. A big gaggle farther back in the field, but it does look like that the majority of the field is able to get through the first corner nice and easy. A couple of drivers having a little bit of problems as now they try to sort themselves out here for the Parabolica entry. Everybody scrapping, jumbling, jostling for position as they work their way out of the Parabolic entry and onto the Parabolic itself. A big coming together from behind. Mishka Berger, Menard, looks like Vermillion involved in it. Maybe Jazowski as well. Philip Hammer, a big cross-section of the field taken out on the exit of the Parabolica entry as they try to sort themselves out here. That's the number 41 of Kundelis trying to keep things together, and Kundelis has made contact into the side of, I'm not entirely sure who that was that hit him, but Kundelis was definitely 2 tires up into the air as big problems befalling our field here on this final race. My goodness, look here as we take a live look right now. That's the 181 machine. That's Zelinskis. This is the battle for about 7th position as the 181 tries to hold off an attack here from Jordy Spetkins. And we've got more calamity in front. That's Tadas Krazitis, I believe, that was spun facing the wrong way around. Hopefully these drivers are going to be able to get themselves sorted, and we'll be able to see some absolute straight-out racing before this is over. But big-time calamity here on this opening lap. As your leaders come out of the final corner right now to take the to knock down the first of 6 laps in this final, we keep our eyes focused on the battle for P6. Bareka, Sproul, Zelinskis, Spetkins, Jakey, Jatautis, all running pretty much single file. As up at the front of the field, Alexander Walton leans around and leads Cepas, and they're starting to grow a big gap over Erigis Jamantis here at this point, and so that'll be a good run for them. They work their way through the Parabolica entry right now, putting a little bit of a gap, it must be said, on Marius Cepas. That gap now extending upwards of about 1 second, and that's going to be crucial because that means that they are going to run out of the draft. They are not going to be able to make the draft here at this point work. As now we take a look farther back in the field, the 181 under pressure here. Zelinskis trying to hold off Mantis Barika. Barika thinking about a move down to the inside. Some definite movement there behind as that's the 111 of Barika under attack from Jakey and Jatautis. They're almost going to go 3 wide down into the corner. Maybe there was a little bit of contact there in front as Jakey tries to be able to hold on to whatever he can. Didn't look like that was going to play itself out, but now they're going to be able to get through nice and cleanly as we work our way down into the Mercedes Arena section for the second time. It continues to be right now ordered the same way it was, as that's the 181 machine of Zelinskis trying to close down on Samuel Sproul up ahead of him. Here they go onto that short little straight, the 606 of Sproul holding out ahead. Maybe a little bit of dirt kicked up in front, a couple of drivers running wide there behind as they work their way down through here. Mobile 1 looking good. We jump back to the 129 of Razanowskis getting chased here by Jordy Spetkins. Spetkins in that number 7, that sort of metallic teal and white machine on the back of the all-white car there of Razanowskis. Trying to see what they are able to get done. The 129 holding off as much as possible. The 111 in front, Barika doing a good job of holding that in as well. But we've got a little bit of an interesting battle starting to shape its way up for the lead of the race. Tony Raunen just set the fastest lap of the race and certainly keeping Alexander Walton within his sights here at this point. This is not going to be a drive, a little Sunday drive here, I think, for Walton. He's going to try to keep that as close as possible as they close down in. Here's a little bit of side-by-side action. The 7 of Jordy Spetkins trying to get a little bit of a run here on a couple of drivers around him. Spetkins going to go side-by-side with the 97 of Joey Petrig. Petrig, who had a little bit of a scruffy race, and look at this. That's going to be Kagan Spark trying to split the difference, make it 3 wide. That is Spark in the 252 right down the middle. My goodness gracious, is he going to be able to make this work? Spark tries to go down to the inside. Contact there, and that's going to spin around Razanowskis. I think Joey Petrig caught out in that yet again. Multiple drivers involved on the exit of the Spitzkara. bring you back to live pictures here, and this is the battle for the lead. Alexander Walton, Tony Rounden holding on as they go. Rounden just keeping that gap at about 0.5 of a second here at this point, maybe just holding on to his stuff, trying to see how close he can make this run as we take a little bit of a look here at what happened going down into the Spitzkehre on that last lap. It just looks like, again, over-slowing the car a little bit and drivers getting caught out by not really anticipating what the other drivers around them are going to be doing. A pretty simple error there when you talk about different kinds of errors, but that is certainly what caught them out here at this point. Alexander Walton, by the way, responding at the halfway point in this race, setting the fastest lap of the race. A little bit of side-by-side action here. This is Misha Berger and Joey Petrig as they try to battle themselves out. Joey Petrig going to be out in front here at this point. We're going to look a little farther up in the field. This is Zelinskis trying to close down on Jakey and Jatautis there behind in the number 56. That is Jatautis that we check out right now as he brings his way on through. Trying to see what they are going to be able to get to have done here at this point as we take a look, working their way on through the corners, and this is where that big draft is going to be coming into play. As here they go down into the Spitzkehre, trying to see if he can get a good run off of the corner. Doesn't quite look like he's going to be able to get it here at this point, but a little bit of a look there behind. I think that was Pepe maybe thinking about it. Pepe, your biggest loser of the race thus far, down 13 positions. Your biggest gainer? Well, that's going to be Kagan Spark, who is up a whopping 26 positions. Kagan really able to piece his way through the traffic quite well. Do a little bit of split screen action here as that's going to be Jordy Spetkins on your left, and the battle for P1 between Walton and Rounden there in the right of your screen as they continue to try to work here. Let's see if anybody's going to be able to get a move to go here. They will be coming to the 2 to go mark this time by. That's right, 2 laps to go in this feature event as they now try to be able to bring their way on through the number 60 that we watch right now. That's going to be Philip Hammer. Remember, he had a scruffy couple of races, still pretty dinged up on the front of that car, but the 60 is riding in 24th place here at this place, still up 4 positions from where they started, but I don't think is nearly as good as they would like it to go. And that's going to be a car getting it wrong, going through the south curve. Not entirely sure what happened, but just locking the brakes up, going down through that corner. That's the 291 machine having a little bit of a rough day as there we watch Walton and Rounden trying to be able to sort themselves out a little bit right now. That's on your screen right now. Another little bit of a battle starting to play, trying to wait and see who's going to be making the move, who's going to be doing anything here at this point. Little bit of close running as they go, trying to see if we're going to see any moves fire off here going down to the Spitzkehre. It certainly could be a good run here for that black machine as they work their way down on to the run. Here they come, the black and red machine down to the inside, covered off well. No move getting done there as they'll stay in single file order. Philip Hammer trying to get in on the back of that action as this is Baguette and Navix trying to fight themselves out there a little bit more down into the Mobile One Arena. Can they hold it out? Can they make this play? The 266 desperately trying to make that work. Not going to work itself out. The number 60 there of Philip Hammer just stalking in behind, and there they go, waiting to see as the leaders cross over the white flag, cross over to the start-finish line to take the white flag. Walton with a 0.5 of a second advantage up at the front of the field over Tony Rounden. Marius Cepas about 3 seconds behind them, and he's got about 1.3 seconds between himself and Erigis Jamantis, so plenty of running room there for them. As there they go, coming through 3 and 4 right now. Leaders working their way around the gap, coming down with Rounden and Walton. Just a little bit, that draft coming into play. A little bit of lap traffic, though, up in front of Alexander Walton. Here comes a move from Philip Hammer. Thinks about it, but Hammer's not going to go for it on Navix. That's not going to play. Lap traffic there for Alexander Walton. Getting out of the way respectfully. Tony Rounden holding on there behind it. That number 48 machine waiting for opportunity to take itself out. The 22 of Navix trying to be able to hold up a little bit of a defense there, get a little bit of a run on Badgent, and that's not going to play itself out. Badgent's going to to lose a little bit of a position. We focus back solely on the battle for the lead of the race as we've got about a half a lap to go here from Hockenheim. Alexander Walton leading the way over Tony Raunen, trying to see if this battle is going to develop here into a last lap maneuver here from Tony Raunen, but I'm not sure if it's going to be able to do so here at this point as they come through the Sachs curve right now, bringing their way now through these last couple of little corners. Alexander Walton trying to hold on to the best of his ability, a little bit more side by side farther back in the field, but we've got to keep our eyes peeled for Alexander Walton, who comes out of the final corner and will take victory here in the feature race from Hockenheim. Tony Raunen not able to get the move done. Marius Cepas will be able to hold on to that P3 position, followed by Jamantis and Lazarus to round out your top 5. Then it'll be Samuel Sproul, Jakey, and your Pro-Am winner, by the way, is going to be Corey Lazarus. A great run for him to be able to do that run. And then Vince Raviscus here in P13 overall will be your Am winner, by the way. So a great run there for Vince Raviscus as he is able to bring that car on through, waiting for the last number of drivers to finish here, doing a little bit of a celebratory parade lap, as it were, now that everything is said and done, but just waiting for the last couple of drivers here to cross over the start-finish line to make our results officially official. Vince Peter is one of those drivers that was farther down the order, not having the run that he would have liked to here today, but there is your winner, Alexander Walton, in the number 17 machine. A great day for Alexander to be able to bring that car around and take victory here in the Baltic Solutions Transport Super Cup Germany. Well, folks, if you liked the racing action that you saw here today, join us back on April 10th as we will head to Road America. And that is right, we head across the ocean and head to one of the greatest racetracks in the entire world, and I will argue, if not the greatest racetrack in all of North America, in the form of Road America. Alexander Walton here, though, doing a little bit of a celebratory victory lap. There is the number 4, Corey Lazarus, your Pro-Am winner behind them. And again, Vince Raviscus in that Am category, able to take victory in the Am class from P13. As we run you through our final finishing order here today, Raunen, De Pepe, oh, that's the B main results. That's why I was confused. I was like, that's not what I remember it being. As we do take a look there at the feature results, Walton, Raunen, Cepas, Jamantis up in that pro category, then Lazarus, Sproul, Joey, Zelenskas, Jatautis, Ruzika, Spetkins, Barica, Vinskroviskus, Berger, De Pepe, Razanauskas, Maynard, and Seifert, your top 18. Very good running out there. Spetkins, Barica, as we said, we continue to work our way down through the order, and you really do get a sense here of just how international of a field we have here today. Kagan Spark finishing down in 28th. Thought that was going to be a great day out there for Kagan, but just didn't really seem like he had it all together and had a couple of unfortunate incidents. But I've got to imagine that plenty of these 44 drivers are going to be excited and rearing to go by the time we make our way over to Road America in about 2 weeks' time. So make sure you join us for that event, for the next part of the OBS Super Cup, as there you see the final finishing order for all of your drivers. As looks like here they're just finishing up their celebratory parade lap here as we take a look, spinning around actually one of my favorite parts of this circuit, the tribute to Jimmy Clark, who unfortunately lost his life here in Hockenheim back in 1968. But all drivers returning back to pit lane, a few of them with big smiles on their faces, probably no bigger a smile than Alexander Walton up at the front of the field, Tony Raunen, Marius Cepas, Jamantis, and Corey Lazarus. Again, your top 5 as they all work their way on in. And we wait to see here if we will have anybody popping in to chat with us, or if we will have to say goodbye to you a little bit prematurely. Just going to wait here a couple of seconds more. And the thing to keep in mind about this heat racing format is really and truly, it takes such concentration to be able to get in the car, put everything together, and then step out of the car for an extended period of time. So let us not forget that whatsoever. It makes really the run here from Alexander Walton just all that more impressive today, as it does look like all drivers have made it back down into pit lane here at this point. And that does, I believe, wrap up our coverage here today for the OBS Super Cup, and specifically for the Baltic Solutions Transport Super Cup Germany. Again, join us in 2 weeks' time as we head on over to Road America. And we will be doing this all over again, folks. It'll be absolutely incredible to watch. So you are going to want to join us on April 10th for that fantastic racing action. But on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, as well as everyone working behind the scenes at OBS World, it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you the racing action for today. And folks, until we see you on the track and until we see you in Road America, thanks for watching.
Pursue your automotive passion,